Hello again. Time to look at the papers. With us this morning to review the papers, entrepreneur Kate Hardcastle and anthropologist Marianne Hotter. There they are. Kate, Marianne, good morning to you. Thanks for getting up early and joining us. Let's kick off with the Express, Kate. What is Rishi Sunak promising?
Well, probably he's promising a little less than it might seem from the headline there, and good morning to you too. It's the suggestion that he is going to scrap all EU red tape within his first 100 days should he be successful in taking the lead as PM. Now, when you go into the detail, what he's actually saying is by 100 days he would have a list of recommendations in terms of what should be scrapped and what should be sorted. He will also be appointing a Brexit delivery department, which is quite interesting in that actually we would hope, he actually says that Brexit is delivered. Why would we need the delivery department? It's clear from that messaging that there's a lot of mopping up to do there. Obviously, it's an appeal to the business audience who was out yesterday talking about inflation too on the campaign trail. I think we've got candidates here who are very much setting out their stalls and trying to appeal to what they think the currency is that we want to hear and buy into. But it's very interesting when you start to see the repeated nature of a lot of the similarities between candidates.
Yeah, except for Rishi Sunak, isn't it, on those tax cuts that he was not promising, that everyone else had promised. It's going to be interesting to watch the debate tonight. The economy is meant to be sort of at the forefront. But Marianne, the issue around gender self-identification hasn't gone away for Penny Mordaunt, and it is a big issue for a lot of people. What is the Times saying about it?
So this is something that was said in the debate on Friday. Of course, they've got another debate tonight, and the final two, candidates will be announced by Wednesday. So in the debate on Friday, Penny Mordaunt, who was at one point in 2019 the Equalities Minister, she said that she had never been in favour of gender self-identification. Now, trans rights, how one identifies or changes your gender, is a hot and controversial topic, whether it should be a medicalised process or a demedicalised process, whether someone ought to be able to self-identify, as in say, this is what's going on for me, and that's therefore who I am. Everyone needs to get on board with that. Or whether you need medical professionals, whether you need a gender, a sort of panel to determine that you are correct in what you say. So it's kind of a very fraught subject. Penny Mordaunt distanced herself basically from a position that had been taken in that department in 2019, which was to demedicalise the process and to move closer to a situation where someone might be able to self-identify, so not have to go through a process where they're talking to doctors and effectively proving what they say was true. However, Kerry Badenoch and Liz Truss came on to take on that role after Penny Mordaunt was basically sacked by Boris Johnson. And they say, no, that's not true. What you said is not true. The department was following through with your principle of reducing that medical burden. The details of the trans rights and the gender identification is actually separate to what this is about, which is a question over how accurate are these leadership candidates when they are reporting what has happened in the past and what their intentions are. And obviously this comes across on a landscape of an outgoing Prime Minister who has met his downfall because of what he says and what he does and what he was proven to have done and said, or have proven time and time again to have not added up. So I think it's kind of it's useful that these things are being flagged, that someone is fact checking all these details of claims and counterclaims. The question is, how much dirt can be dug up on each of the candidates, and it'll all be thrown out for people to pick over between now and Wednesday.
It is interesting, this blue on blue fighting, as it were. It's coming out. It's been really criticised, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And the question question about whether Penny Mordaunt has genuinely changed her mind, whether she's actually just pandering to the right of the Conservative Party, who are stereotypically considered to be perhaps anti-trans rights, or if that's unfair, pro-medicalisation. There's a kind of a lot in the far right of the party, perhaps, who wouldn't support progressive gender ideologies. And the kind of question is, how much do we actually want a Prime Minister who is driven by values that they genuinely believe in, rather than willing to change their mind simply to kind of draw in votes or party support or donor support? I, for one, want political leaders who are allowed to change their mind if the evidence has changed, but otherwise have a core set of values that they actually want to live by, they want to govern by, they want to lead by. Because, I mean, fundamentally, otherwise a democracy isn't really worth the paper it's written on, if you're just chasing votes.
Yeah. Kate, let's have a look at The Observer. Alex Sharma, what's he saying?
I'm just going to get Marianne to slide me over my soapbox, because this is one I talk about very regularly. But I'm quite pleased to hear this, actually, which is surprising to hear that coming out of my own mouth, that Alex Sharma has at least highlighted the fact that in all of these commitments, in all of these critical issues in many of our lives that are being, as you said, slung around here, there's quite an important one that seems to be, slow to the mark, slow off the mark in terms of people mentioning it in these campaign trails, but particularly for some of the candidates, I don't think it's been mentioned at all, and that is obviously the climate. Now, we absolutely need a government that's going to lead on this, make a difference on this, is actually going to keep the promises. And we remember that Mr. Sharma was out there leading COP26 in Glasgow. We're very soon going to be at COP27, this time held in Egypt, before COP28, which will be in Dubai. And the world perhaps will focus on that, and we might not, because it's not in Glasgow, be featuring it as significantly as we did across the media last October, November. But this doesn't mean the issue goes away. And whilst I think our government and leaders should be completely focused on climate with a balance, it shouldn't be an either or, with a balance of the other issues of the day, I absolutely feel that the media should be highlighting, pushing this forward, championing the voice of the consumers who are expecting businesses to do a lot more here. It absolutely astounds me that for an hour this week, I listened again to a debate about how complex it is for the standard home to recycle. When looking at the cost of living crisis, I'm looking into how many foods can't be saved properly due to the challenges that people are finding within their homes in terms of using those plastics, etc. We have got a lot of quick, solvable issues that we can complete with the support of a government, working with businesses, working with consumers, that will make immediate differences to the millions and millions of pounds and lost waste that would make an impact on the environment. And there's so many other things like that, Kimberly, that we just need some action. We need less of the statements and more of the reality of getting stuff done.
It is always quite surprising, isn't it, how little you can actually recycle. It really does take me by surprise.
I know I will now be marked as that woman talking about recycling on the television, but this is so critical. So much of that recycling ends up in waste. So much used to be taken to other countries just to be dumped. We have got to make a difference with climate change, with everything we can do. The consumer needs to be much clearer on what they can do and empowered. Businesses need to step up and the pressure needs to be put on them. And actually, we should be putting the carrot out there rather than the punishment. You know, the only way the carrier bag situation improved was because we put a levy on it. But how about we actually encouraged people and rewarded them financially for doing the right thing? And, you know, that's a complex issue where we need some focus on it. So I'm pleased Mr. Sharma's highlighted it, and really, really do hope that whoever's leading this country, whatever the colour, we get some better and more relevant change for the here and now.
Okay, let's move on to the man who's still leaving the country, and he's having a bit of a party today, says the Mirror, Marianne.
Yeah, that's right. So depending on which flavour of newspaper you pick up this morning, you'll either get pictures of Boris Johnson looking like Tom Cruise in Top Gun, sitting in the cockpit of a fighter jet, looking all man of action, or if you're looking at a left-leaning paper, you'll see that he is missing in action, apparently. So apparently Boris Johnson did not lead a COBRA meeting, so the emergency crisis meeting, about the upcoming emergency heat wave. This is the first time that the Met Office would be posting a red warning, a weather warning for heat, which is a danger to life, even for healthy people. But Boris Johnson didn't turn up, apparently. Kit Malthouse did it instead, because he was staying at Chequers, his
But
country.
Kit Malthouse did the one before, didn't he? As well.
He did. So it's possibly a bit of a non-story. Maybe Boris never planned to do it. He didn't. Rather than him saying, "Look, I'm in my shorts and slides, and I've got my ice lolly at Chequers. I'm not bothering getting on in the car or on the train." But apparently he is having a party today at Chequers to host party donors, to thank them for their support. So the kind of question is, is this a zombie government? Is he just dialing it in now because he's, hates the Conservative Party who've stabbed him in the back? He hates the country and he can't be bothered anymore and he just wants to top up his tan. You decide.
Okay, talking of Kit Malthouse, what's he been telling us? Work from home, Kate, in this heat?
Well, I think when it comes to some of the warnings, a lot of the viewers might think, well, that's pretty obvious, but we've got to be aware it has to be safety first. This week it's exceptionally prevalent, I think, for many people, where we're looking at particularly the young and the old who need our support, need the check-in. I am just going to say that this story is talking about working from home again, and I just have to highlight the challenge for businesses once again. I'm not suggesting for 1 second the right thing isn't done by employees, but they have had this perfect storm now of the challenges, particularly linked to pandemic, the cost of living crisis, etc. And I was hearing from a small coffee shop the other day who didn't have the funding to put in air conditioning, who didn't actually be able to counterbalance a lot of it other than by using fans to keep going. But they said the biggest challenge for them was the fact that customers just weren't turning up, whether it's the fact they didn't want a coffee that day or the fact that they thought maybe they could put pressure on.
Marianne and Kate, we'll see you in the next hour. Thank you so much. Lots more still to come on Sky News Breakfast. See you in a moment.